Welcome to this training video designed to support school staff and tutors working with learners as they use touch type read and spell. My name's Liz Day and I'm a teacher, mum to a delightfully dyslexic son who completed the main course several years ago and then revisited the platform to help with his GCSE revision. I'm also a neurodiversity and mental health advocate, and I strongly believe that everyone should have the opportunity to reach their own full potential. And I've seen, both personally and professionally, how TTRS can help with this. In this training video, we're going to be covering how touch type read and spell can be used by teachers and tutors, introducing students to the platform, monitoring student progress and giving praise, some of the key features including accessibility options, how to use it remotely, and also how to access further support from the TTRS team. Touch type read and spell is an excellent tool for individuals with learning differences, and it was first created to help children with dyslexia learn to type. It's also a great platform for learners with dysgraphia, processing difficulties, attention difficulties, autism, and for those without any learning differences. The main course is CPD certified, so anyone completing the main TTRS course will receive a certificate containing the CPD certified logo. There's a lot of flexibility as to how you deliver TTRS to students, from setting them up and giving them time to work independently through the modules, to full supervision to encourage correct hand placement and posture, support them in focusing, and using it alongside other teaching to supplement spelling and reading skills. TTRS can be led by parents, teachers, teaching assistants and tutors in whole class situations, small groups or one-to-one. Please have a look at our tutor manual for more detailed information about the different ways to use touch type read and spell as a tutor, including private tutoring, online, adult literacy and small class sessions. Please get in touch with us to request a copy of the manual, which covers information specifically about the programme, suggestions on where to run classes and how to market yourself, financial information about the cost of TTRS, how you can earn extra money recommending TTRS to individuals, families and schools as a TTRS affiliate. TTRS is a tool to help individuals acquire typing skills, but for many of our users, the main reason they're using the touch type read and spell platform instead of other typing programs is that it's working behind the scenes to develop their literacy skills simultaneously. So when they type, they're spelling out groups of words with similar sound letter patterns. They're also hearing the words spoken aloud, seeing them on the screen and typing them at the same time. And this multisensory approach helps to build spelling and decoding skills. The course also contains several high-frequency English words, which helps learners build sight reading fluency as they go through the modules. Because TTRS modules are short, they allow learners to build momentum and confidence on the computer as they progress through the course. Plus, TTRS has a free writing tool that helps new typists bridge the gap between copying lines from typing modules and actually using their newfound keyboard skills to write their own sentences and paragraphs. There are also subjects that can support vocabulary and key concept learning in several areas, including mathematics, science and personal interest, and I'll talk more about those a little bit later. If you haven't started using touch type read and spell yet, I recommend you see the demo of the first 10 modules in level 1 to give you an idea of what it's like and to prepare you to do a few modules yourself, which is an excellent way to get a feel for how the programme works from the student's perspective. Now, I'd just like to speak a little bit about getting set up on the platform. First of all, we recommend you use Chrome or Firefox if you have either of those browsers available, as they'll ensure you can access the programme at the fastest speeds and with the best display and audio. If your learner has access to an iPad, they need to download the free TTRS typing app rather than using it through an internet browser. It will work on an iPad with an on-screen keyboard, but ideally we recommend using a wireless keyboard to really get the feel of the keys and to get the full multi-sensory experience. There's also a free iPhone and Android reporting app you can download and then use to help track your learners' usage and results. Please feel free to request our teacher, tutor or home administrator checklist to help guide you through the process of preparing to start TTRS with your learners. Let's consider now what you'll notice right away when you start using TTRS. It teaches whole words. We present all of the letters of the alphabet in the first 3 levels, and once a letter is introduced, it's then presented as part of a real word. And that's because the nonsense letter combination drills that you find in other typing courses don't help that much. If you think about it, when will anyone ever have to type JK, 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 JK when they're doing homework or typing up a report on the computer? Never. And actually, those key combinations can be really tricky and demotivating, particularly for learners with motor skills difficulties and dyslexia. So we think it's much more effective to learn how to type a key and then start using it in real words right away. Plus, the more you type a word, the more that movement pattern and sequence of keys becomes automatic. And this is one of the reasons touch typing works so well for individuals with dyslexia, because it bypasses some of the thought process and gets muscle memory to do the heavy lifting when spelling. Some of our users and even one of our tutors has said before that if she can't think how to spell a word when she's trying to write it, she'll think about where her fingers go on the keyboard and then often she'll be able to figure it out. Our teachers and tutors have each developed their own ways of starting learners on the course. Some initially start one-to-one, particularly specialists working with students with more severe learning difficulties, while others start students immediately in a group. Either way, TTRS allows each student to progress at their own individual rate. I mentioned earlier that we show students how to find all the letter keys in the first 3 levels. In the orientation modules at the beginning, you'll also notice some voiceover explanations on how to set the hands on the home row. There's a visual keyboard and hand guide that appear at the bottom of the screen showing you which fingers to use to type which key. You can always go into the settings and change how the keyboard, the desk or the hands look. It's also worth being aware that after level 3, when a learner gets the hang of typing, you may actually want to turn the hand guides off, and you can do all of this in the settings. We've got some really useful guides and blogs on teaching typing with tips that can help in our TTRS online help centre and in the Read and Spell blog. So just type in your keywords and then search through the articles that come up to find out about typing or posture or whatever query you have. You can also download and print 2 different posters to support learning to type correctly. One shows the correct hand placement and fingers to use for each key, and the other is a reminder of good posture when typing. It is worth noting that there are some learners for whom the correct hand position may not be that important. For example, some learners with Down syndrome use the TTRS platform primarily for the literacy and confidence building benefits, and it's not always appropriate to try and stretch the hands across a full-size keyboard. So hopefully you're already noticing that TTRS is very much accessible. I've already explained about changing the keyboard, but you can also make several other adjustments to the interface under settings, including putting the font in a dyslexia-friendly format, changing the background and copy text colours to help learners with visual stress enhance contrast and improve text processing. You can also make the course one-handed for someone with a physical impairment. Some settings help support spelling and short-term memory skills and work with motivation, and I'll go over those settings in more detail near the end of the video. Before I explain to you about the subjects created by experts in the relevant areas, a really important thing to note is what voice you're using the programme with. If you choose a US voice in settings, you will have US spellings in the modules and vice versa for a UK voice. The spellings can differ, and we obviously don't want to confuse learners who are trying to improve their spelling skills. You'll also have access to slightly different subject content so that it's more relevant for you. So aside from the main TTRS course, we do have these subjects, and when you're signed into the platform, you'll see the option in the top menu bar. There's mathematics, science, phonics, English, and for UK users, we have all the way from Key Stage 1 through to several GCSE level subjects, which are ideal for revision in the lead up to GCSE exams. For US users, we ask science and math teachers to create a series of courses based on common core material. As well as the curriculum subjects, we also have a range of subjects related to personal interest, such as the Olympic and Paralympic Games, gaming, and a series on neurodiversity, including dyslexia in me and ADHD in me. Definitely have a look at these subjects when you get a chance. Usually, we recommend a learner completes levels 1 to 3 of the main course before trying subject material to ensure they've acquired the necessary typing skills first. You can then decide how to integrate the main course and subject modules. Some people choose to do several main course modules and one subject module every time they go on to TTRS, whereas others will do the main course 2 or 3 times per week and then subject material the other times. It's whatever works best for you and your learners. These modules teach vocabulary and contain key definitions. We don't expect a user to learn the subject from a module alone, but seeing, hearing and typing out key words and concepts can be a great way to prepare for the year ahead, reinforce and support current learning, and review past material. It's also really helpful for learners with dyscalculia to have a multisensory way to practice with numbers, and for learners with dyslexia to get more practice with hard to spell technical and scientific vocabulary. This brings me on to how long and how often you should have a learner work on TTRS. This will partly depend on whether you're using TTRS as part of a weekly tutoring session, regular interventions in school, or encouraging the student to carry out modules independently. We usually recommend students complete a minimum of 3 or 4 sessions a week and do 2 to 3 modules minimum each session. This is a really general guideline though, and you'll need to adjust your expectations based on how your learner is doing and if you have any set deadlines in mind, such as being able to type proficiently for an exam or a new job role. Typically, between 10 and 30 minutes of a typing session is absolutely sufficient for them to make regular progress. One thing you absolutely want to avoid is a student who is tired but forcing themselves or being forced to stay at the computer, because they'll tend to start making more mistakes, which can be really demotivating. If you are running longer sessions, for example as a tutor, consider a brain break part the way through and carrying out some sort of physical activity. For example, for younger children, it can work really well to get them to stand up, step back from the computer and sing and act out head, shoulders, knees and toes, just to give their bodies and minds a quick refresh. And then this often allows them to carry on for a little bit longer. The idea with TTRS is to help build self-esteem and develop a growth mindset. Starting as small as needed, repeating 2 or 3 modules several times in a session, for example, until they feel good about what they're achieving is absolutely ideal. In addition to regular copy typing modules in the course, you'll find that every 5th module is a dictation exercise where there's no visual until you start typing after hearing the audio. You can turn these off by toggling the dictation icon on the actual module, so if they're too challenging, make sure your learner isn't using them until they're ready. Similarly, if you want to challenge a learner, you can make any exercise into a dictation. Dictations are a great tool for building spelling skills and strengthening auditory processing skills. Another thing I'd like to mention is that most students will start at the beginning of the course and then unlock modules as they go through, which means they're prevented from skipping around in the course and they follow it in the order it was designed. However, if you want to unlock levels to allow a learner to choose different modules and levels to work on, if they already have good foundation spelling skills and are doing well with touch typing, you can do that in your admin account dashboard. As well as the subjects we've created with a team of experts, you can also make your own modules using our subject creator and add them. So if, for example, you want to put a child's spelling list into TTRS, or a list of words someone needs to become familiar with for a new topic or job role, you can create a subject so that they can practice them in a typing drill, which can be a really effective way to learn. I mentioned earlier that we have a free writing tool. The example on the screen is from one of our UK users whose teacher had asked her to write her a letter letting her know how she was getting on while she wasn't in school. This is an open interface that looks like a standard TTRS typing module, but it's a place where students can type their own sentences and paragraphs and then get feedback on how many words are spelled correctly and typing speed. Users can choose the length of the session, 5, 10 or 15 minutes, or completely untimed if they prefer not to have any kind of time pressure. You can leave feedback on their written work. It's a really good bridge to writing on the computer using these new typing skills they're acquiring. It's also a great way to create cross-curricular links while typing. For example, if you're working with a student on instructional text, you may ask them to type instructions for how to make beans on toast. There are several prompts for anyone who doesn't know what to write about, so it will suggest what they write. So things like their family, where they live, or their hobbies. There's also a series of images that a learner can scroll through until they see one they like the look of and then write about what they see. The administrator dashboard has been designed and tweaked following feedback so that it's as user-friendly as possible and allows you to monitor your student progress, view their activity, add and remove users, handle billing and preview course content. Within the settings section of the dashboard, you can choose to receive weekly reports by email. Motivation is obviously key, and for some students, the trophies and certificates they can earn can really add to their sense of achievement. We also recommend messaging students through the platform to increase motivation and remind them to keep practicing. I'd just like to note at this point, they can't message each other. So you won't have students spending their entire typing session messaging each other. It is only between you and the students. I want to mention again the importance of customising the course for individual students. We do have these green question marks that are tooltips, so you can hover over them to find out more information, and you can also visit our help articles in the online help centre for more details. I'm just going to explain some of the customisable options to give you some examples. Copy typing is when there's a line of text above and then they copy it out on a line below. If you turn this off, instead of typing it on the word below, it will overtype the original line of text. Remember and repeat is a feature based on a popular classroom spelling strategy that has students read a word, cover it, write it down, then check to see how they did. It works by getting them to enhance their short-term memory processing so that they can hold an image of the word for longer amounts of time. When this is switched on, students see a word and type it, then it disappears and they must type it again from memory. It's really useful if you want learners to pay particular attention to spelling for a certain module. You also have the ability to show typing speed in the results or not. We recommend keeping this off for the first few levels in the beginning to help a learner focus on accuracy. Otherwise, it can be tempting to sacrifice accuracy to build up speed, which can be detrimental to learning in the long run. When you're ready for them to see their speed performance, just turn this on in Settings. Under Audio, you can get the programme to read out one word at a time, 3 words, or the whole line. We recommend 1 word at a time initially, but you may want to change this to sentence level audio when a student becomes more adept. The praise button can be used to turn the applause sound that happens at the end of modules on or off, depending on personal preference. Personally, I love the positive reinforcement at the end of modules, but equally I've had students who have found it irritating, so we've just switched it off for them. You can also choose whether to have the backspace announcement turned on or off. If it's on, you will hear an audio announcement every time a mistake is made to prompt you to make the correction before moving on. If it's off, you still have to make the correction because of the importance of accuracy, but you will just see a visual prompt without the audio prompt. Throughout the global pandemic, face-to-face tutoring and teaching weren't always possible for many people around the world. So we pulled together some guidance and tips so that teachers and tutors could continue supporting students remotely. And we know that one outcome of the pandemic is that many people are now choosing to work and learn remotely. You can find our virtual tutor guides and tips for teachers on using TTRS as a remote learning tool in our online help centre. Without being physically in the same room as your student, you will need to send clear instructions to them and possibly their parents, depending on their age and ability, so that they can access their TTRS account. We carried out some research into tools used by other teachers and tutors and provide some information in our guides as to some of the most widely used platforms such as Zoom and Skype to enable students and tutors to see each other during any virtual lessons. Please note, as with all teaching, consider safety, so do look into the safety settings for any video tools you use, such as setting a password so only the student or students that you're expecting can access the virtual room. Thanks to the TTRS Administrator dashboard, it's easy for you to keep in touch with your students, monitor their progress, offer feedback and reward them with praise even when you're not in the same room as them. Before I finish, I just want to remind you about our online help centre. If you need help, there's plenty of guidance on there. Please also note that we do have 24/7 support via pop-ups on the TTRS and Read and Spell websites. Quite often the bot will answer your query, but if you require a more personalised answer, your query will be passed on to one of the team and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you follow our social media posts, you can get information on updates and also our blogs, which cover learning difficulties and literacy skills development tips, which are really insightful, particularly for education professionals. For those of you hoping to persuade your schools or tutoring centres to subscribe to TTRS, we are always happy to provide you with research, testimonials and case studies to prove the value of TTRS and more technical information such as the reading and spelling aids covered in the course. Thanks again for watching this video and finding out more about how you can help your learners to reach their full potential. My best advice to you is to open up your TTRS account and try it. You can't break anything and there's lots to discover. Finally, if you are on Facebook, please feel free to join us on the TTRS community page where you can share ideas, discuss tips and ask questions of more experienced TTRS parents, teachers and tutors.